Masterminds of influence. Wow, it has been quite some time. You probably have been wondering, where are these people? As you know that we are busy with, TV work, Yada, which is on How TV. We're doing new shows, but let me go into the details. Bottom line is we are still around. Very interesting conversation that we are going to have today. But by the way, I am Maggie Mahlaule. I'm actually excited with today's guest because when he reached out, he said he wants to tell a story, his own story, because he believes someone out there is going to learn something. Someone out there, a parent or a community member, can realize that there is life after drugs. We have Brandon Lorenzo Williams, all the way from Four Ways, someone who's actually my son's age. And so sitting down with someone I can regard as my son and talking about life, talking about the challenges he's been through and where he is going now, it gives me hope to say there are boys out there who are determined to make a change in their lives. But let me not go into the details because he is here to tell the story himself. Welcome, Brandon. I just want you to look at that camera there and you just greet the viewers and introduce yourself.
First, I'd like to say thank you very much, Prophet Maggie, for being here on the show. It's an honor to be with you, to be here. Mm-hmm. I thank you very much. It's a very great opportunity to come out here and actually make it aware to the people that these are the dangers of this life path, or my past life path, actually. So, yeah. I am Brandon Lorenzo Williams, all the way from Four Ways, like Prophet Maggie said. And I'm excited to be here, really. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes. Yeah. So I want us to start it from the scratch. I want to know a little bit about your background. I want to know you come from what kind of a family, mother, father, siblings. Let's start it from there.
Okay, so Brandon Lorenzo Williams. Brandon is, let me start by saying my mom. My mom, she's Venda, right? She's Venda. Her dad was Shona. Okay. My dad's side, he's colored. His mom was Zulu.
You are an African. You have got blood of oil streaming through you.
Streaming through me, yes. So his dad was, as far as the story goes, he's from overseas somehow. We don't really know where is he from, but we are still in search to find out that, because it's part of finding our identity as well, in knowing who he was, So Brandon, I grew up in a township called Ivory Park.
Okay.
Near Tembisa.
Yes.
That's where it all started. That's where Brandon's journey starts, in Ivory Park. I started with my mother there. My mother and father. My dad lived in a community just nearby Ivory Park, which was Rabi Ridge.
Yes.
He lived there. So I'm sure you can tell neighborhoods that are close to each other, it's very easy for my parents to meet each other, So they met each other. I came about here. There's only two of us from my mother's side, my sister and I. So Brandon grew up in a township called Ivory Park, where it started all in I don't know, should I say it, in sort of a shack.
Yes.
With my mom.
I come from there. That's where I grew up.
Yes. So we started there, me and my mom. And as time went on, things changed. She met my dad. They started working. I came about in the world and they saw to say, they need a better life for their son, for their daughter. So they built a one room. The one room, as time went on, it became a full house, 3-bedroom, a bathroom, a living room, garage, in the midst of it all. They seem to have succeeded well, without a lot of, let me not go into detail.
Because we hear more about you.
We hear more about me. So, as time went on I schooled in a school called Ellen Ridge Secondary School. It's a school in the neighborhood of Rabi Ridge. So that's where I schooled. So while I was schooling there, a lot of the students there were smokers, cigarette smokers, weed smokers, all that. That's what they were doing at the time. That was the in thing, the nice thing to do back in school. So I won't sugarcoat anything because back at home, I grew up around people who were smokers as well. So I wasn't aware to say, what are they smoking or what is this they are taking until I had a cousin. He knew what it was. So I had a cousin and we had friends. So the friends that we have, they were smokers. So one day I went home and my cousin actually came and visited me. So when he came and visited me, we were playing in the backyard with my toys, my little car toys.
And how old were you at that time?
11 years old.
Sure.
11 years old. I was 11 years old. So I was at the age of 11, actually. He came over to my place and he realized that in my garden was a marijuana plant. But I had no clue. I had no idea.
You just saw some herbs.
I just saw some, not herbs, like trees.
Yeah.
I just saw trees. And then he knew what it was. So he started plucking from the tree and putting bundles in a box. So I asked him, what are you doing?
How old was your cousin?
He was around my age, 11.
My goodness.
I had no clue at all what was he doing or what this was. Okay. He started plucking. And then I accompanied home. The next day I went to school. So when I went to school, after school, there was this abandoned building in the neighborhood where we would go. So we would go there. And then when we arrived there, I'm at shock because now he pulls out this box and they start, engaging in smoking. So I'm like to him, what is this? He's like, nah, it's weed. That's what it is. So, okay, they're smoking. There's nothing. It comes at a shock at me because I'm shocked. Am I really about to do this? Am I really about to partake in this? So it happens that voluntarily I say, okay, because now I'm also trying to stand out,
to fit in
a way. So I volunteer, okay, no, you can pass me it. I took my puffs from it. After taking my puffs from it, I gave it back to them. We went back home.
But what happened with the first puff? Like it didn't actually, were you not disorientated?
No, it never had an effect on me because I think, I'm not sure why, but I believe my mind was very young and it was at a point whereby it was still developing. So in putting myself or partaking in that type of act, I wasn't aware that I'm endangering my mental health while I'm still schooling. A lot can happen. I'm in grade 5 at the time, if you can look, while I'm smoking. Grade 5-year-old smoking. Where have you seen that? It's very rare to find such that is happening. So it happened that at home, I had an uncle, close friend of my mother. He was a marijuana smoker. So as a marijuana smoker, he would always smoke in his room and he was friends with my mom, sort of like an uncle to me. So they would always hang out in a back room, sort of where they would hang out and talk and things like that. So yes, Ma was a cigarette smoker. I'm sorry to say it, but she was. So uncle was a marijuana smoker. So as time went on and on and on, I realized to say, no, he's actually smoking weed. So when he would leave his room, I would then go in the room.
After you've tested the first time with your cousin?
The first time. This was like after some days, I would go into his room and then I would steal his marijuana. And then I would roll it myself.
So you already knew how to roll it now?
I already knew, but it's not something I can say I'm happy about.
Yeah.
So I already know how to roll it. So I would, time and again, I would enter his room and steal his marijuana and engage in rolling and actually smoking. And then because I grew up in a township such as Ivory Park, there are a lot of my peers at the time who are also smoking cigarettes, marijuana.
11-year-olds.
11-year-olds, they are smoking. So time went on. I turned 15, I turned 16. The habit is still continuing.
And you're still doing marijuana only? You haven't went to others?
I haven't went to others. I'm still doing marijuana. As I'm doing marijuana, I come across new friends, It's school. You always meet someone new. So I meet new friends. As I meet new friends, those friends are actually smoking glue.
Sure.
Okay, I engage in the act with them eventually as time goes on. They are my friends, remember.
Are you doing now both? I'm
now doing both. I'm doing marijuana and glue. So after doing marijuana and glue, time went on. I started doing benzene, some kind of chemical used to clean windows.
I know benzene, yeah. But then how did you go into the benzene? Was it also through friends?
Through friends. It was through friends that I started smoking benzene. So I started doing that, and these were the 3 types of substances that I was on at the time.
And you were still at school at that time?
I was still at school.
How was it affecting your grades?
For me, I was a very excelling student in school. Nobody knew what I was doing. I don't know how nobody knew what I was doing, but nobody seemed to know at school that Brandon is doing these things. At home, nobody could pick up because I was so well-mannered and disciplined, and I was afraid of my mother. She was strict. And my dad, a good beating. Trust me, a good hiding.
So that basically more like contained you. You were still within your boundaries.
I was still within my boundaries.
So hence it was not easy for people to actually realize, because you still had the respect.
I still had the respect for elders. I didn't smoke in front of elders. I never did that. I'd always come back, do my homeworks, do my schoolwork. I was getting good grades in school, by the way. I was getting very, very, very good grades. I was excelling. Everything was good, but nobody knew that I was naughty. Because when the school closes, there I'm out after school, I'm naughty. I go back home, I'm Brandon that is very disciplined, well-mannered. When I'm at school, I'm well-mannered. But when the school is after school, once I leave that gate, I'm with my friends, I'm naughty. But they would get caught at school. Their parents would know. But when they would get caught, I wasn't there at all. Not like I wasn't there. Like I would tell them to say, I don't want to be mentioned. Part of the trauma. I do not want to be mentioned in whatever's going on. So it happened that my entire school life, my parents never knew that I was naughty outside. But as I grew up, I would tell my mom in stories to say, Mom, I did so and so in school. I was doing this and that and that. But I know to say the strict parent that you were, I had to respect that I cannot be naughty in front of you, you know.
And then now you are doing 3 different types of substances. Weed, glue, and benzene.
And benzene, yes.
And then what happened from there?
While I was schooling in Ellen Ridge, my mother saw that my substance use was at a critical point.
So she found out?
She found out.
How did she find out?
She would catch me. The way she caught me, she once caught me with glue. My dad caught me with glue at a very young age. I don't think he remembers. He caught me with glue, and when he caught me with glue, he immediately rushed me into the bathroom. He opened up water. He filled the bath with water. It was like, get in and wash yourself. I had to, after getting out of there, my mind had come back to my senses. The following morning.
With cold water, probably.
Cold water.
Sure. So after smoking, obviously you disorientated.
I'm disorientated.
So then he put you in cold water.
He put me in cold water, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then Mom woke up the following morning. She was like, Brandon, we're going to the mall. So we didn't go to the mall. She took me to Johannesburg, Hillbrow, under the bridge. She's like, is this the life you want? This is where you want to end up. For you to
see the homeless people there.
And at that time, I'm like 12 years old. Under the bridge at Hillbrow. What a scary thing it is for me at that time. She's like, Brandon, is this where you want to end up? Is this the life you want? Do you want me to leave you here? I'm like, no, I don't want you to leave me here. And at the time, my mother, she was driving a Mercedes-Benz.
Sure.
And we in Hillbrow.
Sure.
And the youngins there, they telling me their stories. They're like, hey, man, you need to stop what you're doing. You don't want to end up here with us doing drugs, sleeping under the bridge and all those things, You do not want to end up here. So she took me to Hillbrow to go and see what is going on. So that was my first encounter, realizing to see where I can end up.
But then you didn't stop.
I didn't stop.
What was the reason for you after you saw more like the trauma of people, living in the street? What made you still continue?
The culture, the lifestyle. Of these youngins that are doing music today, they rap. I was into that. I used to be a producer. I used to make beats growing up. I had a certain love for music. So my mom, she once took me to a school where they were DJing. They taught me how to DJ. And I just had a love for music. So I was around friends that were doing that type of thing, but they were weed smokers.
They were
influenced in a way. So they would smoke weed. They would also indulge in drinking lean.
What is it?
This medicine diluted with Coke. I don't know if you're aware of it.
No.
It's medicine diluted with Coke.
But what kind of medicine?
Still pain.
Sure.
Still pain. They call it lean, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started doing that with them as time went on. Brandon was now getting out of hand. Brandon was no longer listening. Mom couldn't have it anymore. Mom wanted her boy back. So she took.
So now you were no longer scared of her. In a sense that not that you can fight her, but your behavior couldn't be hidden anymore.
Couldn't be hidden anymore.
And at what age?
This I was around 15 at the time now. 15, 16. I think I was 16. I was in grade 8. I'm not sure. But I tried to put the mess together. But yeah. So mom, she pulled me out of the school. Out of Ellen Ridge. It was a government school. She pulled me out of the school. She sent me to, I think it was Messina, somewhere in Limpopo.
Yeah, Messina, towards the border of Zimbabwe.
Towards the border of Zimbabwe. She sent me to a boarding school. Because now she had been exhausted of me being around people. She was like, she would always tell me, I do not want Brandon in Joburg. I don't want Brandon in Joburg. Joburg is too much of a bad influence for Brandon. There's too many, he's exposed to a lot of things that can lead him down a life of misery and pain. So she sent me away. She sent me to a boarding school. So at the boarding school called Eric Low War School, it was a boarding school in Limpopo, a white school. So I was living there at the, what do they call where we live in a boarding school, the hostel.
Yeah.
I was living at the hostel. So while living at the hostel, I'm young. I want to go out there. I want people to know me. I'm naughty. So it happened that one of the guys that were there, I asked him, I was like, can you sell me marijuana? He sold me marijuana.
You are still smoking.
I'm still smoking even there. I asked him, I was like, can you sell me marijuana? He sold me marijuana. After selling me marijuana, apparently they had told on me, on the people who are actually in charge of the hostel. He had told on me. So they went into my room, they searched, they found a bottle of lean and marijuana. And then not even 2 weeks that I was there at that school, my mom had already paid school fees. She'd already paid for the hostel. And that's a lot of money. At my age, I'm not aware of this.
Sure.
A lot of money, a lot of good things that my mom is doing for me. My mom and dad are doing for me. A lot of money gone down the drain. I got kicked out of the hostel. The school was asked told my mom to say that I need to be taken to a rehab center. I was taken to a rehab center.
Where?
In Polokwane. Once I was there, I was now in a facility where I was being captive. I was in that facility, and I was in that facility for not too long, but there was a point where I woke up in the morning, and when I woke up in the morning, I'm in this facility. I'm like, where am I? Because
you didn't see yourself going there.
I didn't see myself.
So was it more like a bit of like overdose, or were you
not
like
an overdose? How can I put it?
You dozed off, kind of a thing.
I dozed off. I wasn't aware, so I think they took me while I was sleeping, and I woke up in this facility. So once I woke up in the facility, I just woke up and I saw the security at the door, and I'm like, who are you? And he's shocked. So he tries to catch me, and I managed to slip through him and go through the door. And now I'm outside. Once I'm outside, okay, the gate is locked. I leap over the wall. I go to a garage station. I make a phone call to my mom. I'm like, Mom, where are you? Dad, where are you?
You think you were kidnapped at that time?
Not that I'm kidnapped. I know where I am.
Oh, okay.
Where are you guys? Why am I here? And then they come, they pick me up, they take me back into the facility. It took 7 guys to actually hold me down just so that I can get a sedation.
Were you being violent?
In a way, yes. So it took like 7 guys, 7 doctors to actually hold me down just to get me sedated and actually sleep. Because now I was violent in a way, yes. I was violent in a way. And these doctors, I don't know what was happening at the time, man. I was too much on substances to a point whereby I had lost it. Yeah. I had lost it.
Sure. And so how long were you in that rehab?
For more like a month. So I was in that rehab for a month. A month I was in that rehab. But before that, I've been through plenty rehabs as well, such as Rand Clinic in Joburg. I've been to Clearview Clinic in Pretoria.
And I believe they are very expensive.
Very expensive.
Parents paying from their pockets.
From the pockets. The one in Rand Clinic and Clearview Clinic, that was about, I think, 25,000 a month.
Imagine. That's someone's salary. Someone actually earns it even in twice, once, by a month or something like that.
By a month, yeah. And in Clearview Clinic, I was there for a whole 6 months. So you can imagine 6 months, 25,000. I was in Rand Clinic in Joburg. There, it's also about 25,000. I'm there for like the whole 3 months. Then I get transferred to Clearview Clinic. So that's a lot of money that I put down the drain. Yet I'm in a school in Eric Low. All that money down the drain. So I'm just trying to make it aware to a lot of pupils out there to say, our parents are really working hard to get us the life we deserve. They are working really hard to make sure that we are set in life, that we do not have to go through what they're going through, the struggles which they went through, the things they never had. They're making sure that we have. And what are we doing with that opportunity? We're not making use of it.
And the money that they would have done, obviously would have done something, they would have invested for you for the future or something. Sure. And then now let's go back to the story where you're now in the rehabs, in the one in Polokwane, were you discharged to come back home? How did you get out there?
Well, my mom, the first time she took me there to no smoking, the first time she took me, I was shocked where I was. I was shocked and I was scared because I was in an environment which, it was like a squatter camp. It was, we remember we are boys and we lazy to clean up after ourselves. So the place is very dirty at the time. So as the place is dirty at the time, I wake up and it's horrible. So I took it up to myself that, I'm going to leave this place. So they fell asleep in the middle of the night and I disappeared.
How did you go out? Were they not having security, high halls or something?
They were having high halls, but knowing the Brandon that I was back there, that high hall was nothing to me.
So you jumped over the wall?
Yeah, I went over the wall.
So the intention was to go back home?
To go back home because I didn't feel like I was in a place whereby this is the place for me.
The environment, not something you're used to.
Not something I'm used to, being around. The people that were there at that facility were similar to the people who were under the bridge back in Joburg Hill, bro.
Sure.
And if you can look at me, I'm from Four Ways. I'm from Midrand. I'm from Ivory Park,
You're used to proper environment.
Proper environment, And I come there and I'm like shocked. I'm like, I can't believe I found myself now in the belly of the beast.
Sure.
I'm in the most horrible, terrifying place there is to me.
What do you think was the reason for your parents to take you specifically there?
I had left home in Four Ways to go to Ivory Park, the township.
You left Four Ways to Ivory Park, where you actually grew up in.
Where I grew up in.
And probably the reason, was it because of the friends being there or the life that you wanted was there?
Well, it starts where I was doing my matric, right? So as I was doing my matric, apparently the facility where I was doing my grade 12, she had done some research and it was said that I have to write my matric in the area in which was my previous high school, which was Ivory Park. So I went back there. So when I went back there with an intention that, I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to be naughty me. And when I went there willingly knowing that I'm going to do my matric, but after doing my matric, I'm going to live and stay here, meaning that I'm leaving a better life in Fourways to come and live here in Ivory Park. So I asked myself, what kid does that? Lives a good home where everything is good in the suburbs, quiet gated estate, to go in a township, a location. Like, who does that? Am I not aware of the dangers I might fall under, the traps that have been set there? So I go back there. Once I go back there, I meet my cousin. Me and my cousin, I tell him to say, no, I'm not going to be living here for a while. So as I tell him that I'm going to be living here for a while, he's like, do I smoke? I'm like, yeah, I still smoke weed. It's like, what do you smoke also? I'm like, nah, only weed. It's like, he smokes Mandrax.
Now you are introduced to another thing.
I'm introduced to another thing, which is Mandrax. So I had PlayStation games that I had came with from Fourways. I had a box of Nike shoes. I had Nike shoes, very brand new shoes that my mother bought me. I took those shoes, I sold them. I took those PlayStation games, I sold them. We did with that money, we went
and sorry, did you sell them at the proper price?
No. I didn't sell it at a proper price. I sold it. I went and buy Mandrax for us. But obviously he directed me to where they sell the Mandrax. So he went in and he bought it. We came back, we sat in the backyard, we smoked. So it's the type of drug that you smoke in a bottle. So the bottle, you break the bottle, so the top of the bottle like a beer bottle. So it's that type of drug that they smoke with. So we did that. But it's mixed with weed somehow, but weed that is not still ripe. So we smoked that, and then I lost control of myself in a way such I can put it as I was no longer in control of my body. My body was lazy. It couldn't even stand up. If you were just to like touch me, not even push me, just touch me, I would fall. So I did that, and whilst doing that drug, I went back home in Ivory Park. We were smoking in Rabi Ridge. I went back home to Ivory Park. When I went back home to Ivory Park, my aunt, my sister's mom, she's an addict. She sees that.
Your mom's sister?
My mom's sister.
Yes.
She sees that I'm under a substance that is Mandrax. She sees it. I don't know how, but she's a smoker as well, so she sees it. So we both indulge in the act of now smoking crystal meth, methamphetamine.
Sure.
We smoke methamphetamine, and because Mandrax is the type of drug that actually warns you out, it drains your energy to a point whereby you need another substance to kick in to uplift that energy. So the substance for me was crystal meth. So we smoked crystal meth together. After smoking crystal meth together, she got angry at me somehow and she was like, your mom is going to shout at me, what. Fine, I left. As I left, I went and go buy a bag of ketamine.
What is that?
Ketamine, cat.
I only know the meow cat. I don't know anything else.
It's called cat. It's called cat. So I started taking cat.
Another substance. Another drug, kind of.
It's some sort of a powder drug. So I started taking that as well. So at the time, I'm doing my matric, remember? So while I'm doing my matric, the first paper that I wrote it under the influence of Mandrax, weed, crystal meth, and cat all at once.
My goodness. So you would put everything on the table, however you're smoking it, and you would take one after another.
One after another. So after that, it happened that, if I can remember very clearly, very properly, the way I was dressed was not me. I looked like those people that work at a mechanic shop or something with the oil all over me,
Going to school?
Not going to school. When I came back from school, when I went to school, I would go to school in like proper clothes because now I had left my clothes in Fourways. And when I came back to Ivory Park, my clothes that were old, my old clothes were there. So I would wear those clothes. So I don't know what was going on with me at the time. I'm not aware. But what I know is I put my mom through a lot. My mom and dad, I put them through a lot. So they realized that I needed to be taken out of the situation which I was. But before they had came and grabbed me from the situation which I was in, they had found out that Brandon, in the neighborhood, somebody apparently called my mom and dad and let them know to say that no, I'm smoking again. After that, patrollers came in the morning to my mom's place in Ivory Park. They came, they knocked on the door. My cousin, she's like, what's going on? They're like, open the door. She opens up the door. In my mind, I'm like, how can you open for these people the door? We don't know whether people coming to come and steal from us or something, They come in, they grab me while I'm sleeping. In the morning, they grab me while I'm sleeping. They grab me, they take me to the patrol station. They put me in handcuffs.
Sure.
They first asked me to take off my t-shirt. I'm like, why? And I see to say they becoming a bit violent. Right? So, okay, I take off my t-shirt. They put me in handcuffs. They have a bucket of water in front of them. So this guy, he takes the plastic, he dips it in the water, puts it over my head, trying to suffocate me. While doing that, beating on my chest.
Who are these people?
I do not know. Apparently, I don't know. Are they appointed by the government or the police to actually protect communities or something? I do not know.
So even now, you don't know who these people are?
I don't know who they are. I do not know.
Okay. So they suffocate you with the plastic.
They try to suffocate me with the plastic. That was like the first time me going through something like that, because now I had to hold my breath in. Every time he takes the plastic off, when he puts it back on, I have to hold my breath. And while I'm holding my breath, he's beating fists on my chest, making sure that I breathe out and try to breathe in again. But unfortunately, I hold my breath in, and they're asking me, where's the gun? Where's the drugs? I'm like, I know nothing about guns and drugs.
Okay. So they thought you were a drug lord or something.
Yeah. So they were asking me, where's the drugs? Where's the guns? I'm like, I do not know where this is, until I eventually had to now say, listen, guys, I do not have any drugs. I do not have any gun. What I can tell you is that I smoke cat, this and that and that and that. And what I can tell you is that if you want to know, to say, am I selling or did I buy? I let them know. I'm like, no, listen, I bought. They're like, okay, take us to the person who you bought. I'm now thinking in my head.
Sure.
Because remember, I grew up in the street. Not in the street, actually. I grew up in a culture whereby a lot of street principles were being instilled. And I was instilling myself with those principles as well, such as that I see in films, like I won't tell, I won't do this. So when they were putting that plastic over my head, I was telling myself in my head to say, I'm no person that's associated with telling on someone. So I didn't want to reveal anything,
So you didn't reveal where you're buying these things from?
I didn't reveal.
And was it because of safety issues, like you're saying?
It's not because of safety issues, whether that person is dangerous or not. The person was just someone in the neighborhood who sold. But it was because now I didn't want to be known as someone who tells.
A snitch. And I think it's not a cool thing for boys.
It's not a cool thing for boys. At the time, I didn't want to be known as that because I knew what I got myself into. So I didn't want to be known as that amongst people to say, no, I told on this person or something like that. Not at all.
Okay, now let's go back to you jumping the other wall. And where did you go to?
I walked for from 9 o'clock at night to 8 a.m. in the morning. I walked
from
the rehab
was it
center.
Polokwane?
Yeah.
So you were in the Messina one, then you came up. Messina, was it the school?
Messina was the school.
And then now the no smoking one was in Polokwane. So when you walked, where did you go to?
I went back home to Ivory Park.
So you walked from Polokwane to Ivory Park. Did you get lifts and all?
Along the road at the toll gate of Pretoria, I had asked for a lift. But that left, I had left with a couple of my belongings and I sold them on the road so that I can buy something to drink. And then I had paid the guy who had gave me a lift. He dropped me off near Mall of Africa. And then I walked back home.
Sure.
And then when I walked back home, my mom called me. She's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, I revealed to her where I am. I thought maybe she's gonna come pick me up or something. But she didn't. She actually phoned those guys. She phoned the people at the rehab and they came and picked me up the next day.
That was tough love.
They came and picked me up the next day at the place.
So you didn't even get a break to say, okay, maybe 3 days here, the next day.
The next day, because
I would have done the same.
I woke up and I jumped in the shower because the place was very dirty at the rehab, so I didn't like it. So I jumped inside the bath, started scrubbing myself. I jumped back out, dressed in nice clothes. I walk to the shop. I go buy a cigarette. When I come back, I walk into my room. As I walk into my room, here are the guys. They walk in. I'm now cornered in a room. They grab onto me. They take me out. They're like, "Yeah, your mother phoned us to come in."
Your mother, I would have done the same. It's called tough love. Because she saw where you were going to end up.
Yeah.
And she realized, much as the environment is like you're staying in the streets, but this is for a good cause. So you went back to Polokwane.
I went back to Polokwane. And because I had escaped from the place. So now I had to be shackled. My ankles had to be shackled with chains.
Because you had a springbok, you'll jump the whole way.
So I had to be shackled.
Sure. But how did it feel? Like, did you ever have the time to think about the situation, looking at the chains, thinking of home, thinking of the environment you are in? Did you ever think of change?
Change is, to be honest, Prophet Maggie, I went through a spiritual battle at that place, right? And it does involve change, but the spiritual battle was, I could sense the presence of the enemy around me at that place. I could sense his presence. I could sense his spirit. I don't know, was God allowing it to happen at the time, but I could feel him. I could feel his energy inside of me, you know, and it was hard for me to change when I was there. I only changed when I left that place, because when I was there, I'm a person, I'm still intact with my right mind, right? But the people who are there, they have lost it. If I try to talk to them, it's like I'm talking to someone who doesn't understand what I'm trying to say.
Like a zombie. Can you explain it as a zombie? Like
a zombie, you know? I'm trying to talk. So I was around them for a very, very long time, to a point where I realized me acting or me being in a good state is not going to help me.
How long were you there the second time?
I was there for 3.5 years.
In chains?
In chains.
There was never a day where they felt, okay, we think he's coming all right, we can unchain him.
No, it wasn't such.
And what happened? You had the cravings, obviously, and all, but was your body still craving the smoking and other things that you were indulging in?
My body wasn't craving any smoking. My body was actually regaining its strength, its weight. I was regaining my physical strength. I was regaining my physical weight. The only thing I wasn't regaining was my mental wellness. Yeah. That's the only thing I wasn't regaining when I was there, because now I was I don't know, is it okay to talk about it on the show?
Yeah, we can talk.
The devil was playing with my mind too much. He was in my mind. He was using my mind. He was playing with it too much.
But in what sense?
In a sense whereby I can say dark. I was convinced that I am a vessel for him at the time, you know, and that he lives through me. Like I said, I could feel his presence, his energy in me when I was there. So I was filled with darkness. I was angry. I was a mess, you know. He was in my mind. He was in my heart.
Have you ever had suicidal thoughts while you were in that state?
Not once.
Mm.
I've never had suicidal thoughts at the time, because now my mom, she wouldn't come visit for like a whole 3 months. It's normally like parents do that at rehab. So, you know, my mom was always also busy. She's working, she has phone calls, you know. So most of the time I would like behave crazy when I was there.
Sure.
I would behave like I've lost it myself, you know. I would like just lose it.
You were missing home, you were missing your life, you were like you're saying, the darkness. How did it make you feel? Did you ever feel like this is it, this is how you're gonna end? You're probably not even gonna come out of that place alive.
Yeah. I like the way you put it. Am I gonna come out of this place alive? I never thought I'm gonna come out of that place alive. I thought maybe I'm probably gonna have an incident where I fight with one of the guys and then maybe something happens and then, you know, because at the time I was embracing darkness.
Sure.
The darkness, I was embracing it. It was terrible for me. Terrible, because I started hearing voices in my head.
What kind of voices?
There's this ability. I was losing it. I was delusional. I thought to say that maybe it was an ability that I had. It's called being telepathic. Being able to speak to someone in their, using your thoughts, like you're in their head. You know, so I would hear voices. So I thought, like, as we were guys there, we were all losing it. So I thought we were speaking to each other in each other's heads, basically, using each other's thoughts, you know. So I started losing it. I wasn't coping well. My mental health now at a point where it's critical.
So do you think that is the reason you ended up being there for so long? So the reason for you to be there was to be rehabilitated in terms of the drugs, right? Yeah. And do you think you were rehabilitated in terms of the drugs, but now you fell into a different state of mind, so they kept you more there because they feel you are not yet ready for the world?
True. The only reason why I was able to come back home was that my mom had said her mom, my grandmother, spoke to her in a dream saying that she should come fetch me.
And where's your grandmother?
My grandmother's she's no longer with us. She passed away.
Long passed.
Yeah. She passed away when my mom had me in her belly.
Oh, okay. So she had a dream of your grandmother saying you must be fetched from that place.
Fetched from the rehab. Yeah.
And when your mom fetched you, you were still in the state of mind where you looked like you are a mental case now.
Yeah. Because when she fetched me, I came back, and then a few days later, I approached my mom. I said, "Mom, I need help."
And you really needed help.
I needed help. I approached her. I was like, "Mom, I need help." It's like, "What do you need help with, my son?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm hearing voices in my head. And it's been happening ever since I've been there. I just never had the chance to talk to you and tell you, to say this is what I'm going through." Because at the time when she was visiting me, I couldn't tell her to say, "Mom, I'm having," she wasn't going to have it.
It was going to be like a way for you to leave the place.
So when I came back, I had spoke to her. I was like, "Mom, I need help. I'm hearing voices. These voices are telling me they want to control me, they want to be in control of me, over my mind, body, soul, and spirit, They're just fighting to control me. It's like I had different voices in my head. The other one telling me, don't listen to this voice, don't listen to that voice.
Oh, so it were like two worlds.
Two worlds.
Was it more like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but can you explain it as it was more like there was a light and a darkness, more like these two kind of voices?
Voices, yes. Because at some point in time, I had embraced in darkness so much to a point whereby I could tell to say, I'm about to lose my soul. And then a voice just appeared to me in my head saying, "Brandon, you need to stop what you're doing." And all of a sudden I could feel, I don't know, it will sound like I'm being mad about it, but I could feel my soul leave my body and ascend into heaven. And once my soul ascended into heaven, I still continued with what I was doing, because now I could realize to say, the enemy is no longer going to get a hold of my soul, because now my soul is with God in heaven. So that happened. I went through that phase. I approached my mom. I asked her, "Mom, I need your help." My mom the mom that she is, the loving mom that she is, she found a doctor for me, a psychiatrist in Polokwane. She took me to the psychiatrist, shared my story. I told my doctor.
But why specifically Polokwane, so far from Fourways?
Because my mom, okay, we were living in Ivory Park, right? And my mom was working for a diesel company. So that diesel company shut down. So when it shut down, she started off her own thing. As time went on, she started working with diesel. Next thing, we moved to Fourways, a gated estate. So after moving to a gated estate, she bought land in Mpumalanga. So she built this house, a big house that she built in Mpumalanga. So after building that house, she had taken me from there and she moved with me there. And now the closest place where we can find a psychiatrist was in Polokwane, from Limpopo to Polokwane. So that was like the closest place to find her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Also, she moved with you so that, because for her to move was obviously because of business, right?
Because of business.
So she wanted to see you with her.
With her, yeah.
To make sure you're becoming fine. You're getting the help you needed.
Yeah.
Sure.
She didn't trust me in being in Joburg too much. She didn't want me in Joburg because I would tell her now and then to say, my life is not in Joburg. My life is here. My future is not in Joburg, but my future is here. So that's what I would tell her. So she got me a psychiatrist. I was at my psychiatrist just yesterday, by the way. Yes. So I talked to my psychiatrist. I share what I've been
And how is it helping you?
It's helping me a lot. She helps me a lot, my psychiatrist.
But most males I have met are not comfortable with anything to do with therapy. But what makes you, because I see you are even glowing when you talk about your psychiatrist, what makes you feel comfortable with yours?
I like to talk. I like to share. And I like to be listened to sometimes. And I like to listen to people. So my psychiatrist, when I'm with her, I'm able to share a lot of things. I'm able to talk to her about a lot and what I go through on a daily basis. You know, my challenges and what mechanisms have I instilled to cope with those challenges, you know. So I share a lot with her and she's able to guide me through a lot. And as I'm sharing with her, as the psychiatrist that she is, she's supposed to pick up in my conversation to say, no, maybe this is happening to him. Maybe it's this disorder, or maybe it's that illness, or no, he's fine. There's nothing wrong, you know. So I enjoy speaking to her. Even yesterday, I had went to my dad. I was like, Dad, I need help. I need you to take me to my psychiatrist. I need to see her, and it's important.
Wow, what a journey for someone your age. Sure.
I don't know. I can't put words together to describe it.
So how do you cope now? What mechanisms do you put in place for you to really, really cope? If you think about what you've experienced, I mean, it's still traumatizing, right?
Yeah.
So what mechanisms do you have in place for you to cope?
Family, friends, and I've instilled a coping mechanism of just taking late night drives to get away from everything. You know, I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy late night drives.
It's therapy. I enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I listen to music, soulful music, jazz music. It helps me cope. It heals me. It heals my mind. It puts me at ease. That's a coping mechanism for me. And then as for support mechanisms, I have my dad. I have my therapist as well. So those are my coping.
Can we talk a little bit about your mom?
No problem.
Okay. I know me and you spoke before we started the recording, but I want us to talk about it a little bit here on the podcast, because you still talk about your mom in present tense, but you did say that your mom has passed. But is it because it's still a recent thing? But 2 months.
2 months. This month, September. Previous month. Yeah.
Yes, it's still within 2 months or so. You know. But she has played a big role in your life, isn't it? with her strictness and her giving you tough love and her in the midst of her giving you tough love, but for her to say, now it's time for me to fetch my son. But not only did she fetch you from the rehab, but she made sure she is with you. She takes you for further therapy. And but how did it make her feel? Everything else, unfortunately, she's not here to respond herself. But what do you think? How did this whole thing made her feel? Yes, it was stressful and all, but did she ever maybe blame herself to say maybe there's something she didn't do?
I don't think she blamed herself, really. I don't think she did, because she's done a lot for us. She put me through the best schools there are in the country. She put me in Crawford College, Lone Hill. Crawford. I don't know if you know of it.
Yes,
you know.
I know.
She put me through
friends
Crawford.
who've got kids there. It's expensive schools.
Expensive school. She put me in Crawford, one of the most, best schools there are. And I didn't make use of it, of that school. I didn't take advantage of it because of being distracted by substances and friends.
And obviously they will not tolerate it.
They will not tolerate that, Kids at that school, it was my first time seeing a parent dropping off their kid in a Maserati. It was my first time. I've never been in such an environment because I was schooling here in the township, here in Ellen Reach. So I was in a school, one of the best schools. I was in Eric Lowe.
Sure. Yeah.
One of another best schools, expensive schools. So I didn't make use of a lot of things, but I don't think my mom would blame herself because she did everything to make sure that me and my sister have the life which she and my dad fought for.
Yes.
Yes. She fought, she was fighting my addiction, left, right, and center.
And how long were you out before your mom passed?
I was out for a year. 8 months, meaning that I only spent 1 year, 8 months with my mom after being away for 3.5 years. After being away.
But I believe you made the best of that 1 year, 8 months. Obviously, you didn't know she's gonna pass, but this 1 year, 8 months became an opportunity for her to take you, for therapy. Sure.
She played a big role. She and my dad are very supportive. My dad and my mom are supportive with everything that I do. And I guess the message or the whole concept behind us would actually be that, parents are actually fighting, to make sure their kids have lives they deserve. And
certainly,
we're not serious about it. Are we blind? Are we blinded by realizing that they are fighting really hard to make sure that our future is set, What is it exactly that we are going through that we are not talking out about, that we are not coming out to say this is what we are going through and this is what we want must stop, whether it be pressure? What is it exactly that we are going through that we are so afraid to talk about? So I felt like it's best if I talk about it, Yeah.
Sure. So what would you say to someone your age? Let's talk to one who has not started and let's talk to the one who has started. What would your advice be? Like, look at the camera there and you talk to someone who is in a situation.
Well, what I would say is for someone in my situation or is not in my situation yet, I wouldn't advise you to lead yourself down a path or life of misery and pain. You don't want your mom going through heartache, your dad, any of your family members going through heartache. It's sad to see a mother cry at night. It's really sad, and I do not promote anything that has to do with that at all. Yes, I know my story is a bit traumatizing, but it's not there to encourage you to actually do such things, but there to actually discourage the use of substance, So I would basically say that if you feel like this is the cool thing to do, this is the right thing, it's not. It definitely is not. It definitely is not. I do not condone such behavior at all. I do not. And I do not like it at all. Because I've set it out within me first that, you know what, if it means that I have to discipline myself, I will do that. And I'll make sure that at the end of the day, I'm well mannered in front of people, in front of anyone, because that's how I was taught at home, you know. So I do not want to drag whatever my parents have established or any status through the mud because of my bad habits. You know, they've fought for this and I cannot let it go down the drain just like that. I cannot.
And much as your mom is no longer here, but like I said, when we met, to say you have a very supportive father who's actually here, you know, to make sure that he brings you here. He's here to give you the moral support. You are blessed, Brandon. You really, really are blessed to have a father who did not give up on you. There are stories that we hear of parents who are saying, I want nothing to do with this person. They've wasted our money. They've wasted our time, you know, but your father is still there to say, we're going through the mourning of, you know, his wife being your mother, and then he is still, you know, holding your hand. You are really blessed. I hope you are counting your blessings.
I am.
You know, so where to from here? You didn't finish your matric, right?
Yeah.
So what are the plans?
The plan is that by end of this year, I actually attend and rewrite my matric. That's the plan.
Next year, not this year, right?
No, end of this year. So I'm planning on registering. I've already started registering for rewriting next year.
Rewriting next year. All right, we get matric, and then what do we do afterwards?
After matric, I'm planning on taking an online course in addiction counseling.
Okay.
Whereby I can now branch out to say I'm actually trying to rescue people from the substance, you know. So sort of like in that career path of addiction counseling, hopefully I'm able to make an impact on someone's life. Through that journey, basically, yes.
And further studies after your matric, do you have any interest of furthering your studies after matric?
I prefer to further my studies in the business or industry field of addiction counseling, basically. That's where I plan to further my studies, because I feel like I can relate to a lot that whether it be a patient that I'm counseling may go through, you know, whether it may be me branching out to schools, communities, and rehabilitation centers and offering my service to them, you know, because that's the plan. That's the plan, to actually go out to schools, communities, you know, discourage drugs, because I have a program which I'm working on myself. I've just started building it and setting it up. I call it the anti-drug program, anti-drug addiction program, motivational speaker, empowering communities. Yeah, I'm still working on it. Empowering communities. But what I like about it is that I want people to reclaim their life and take back their future. So that's the program that I'm working on. It's a motivational speaker program whereby I'll have a team backing me, where we'll be traveling to communities, schools, rehabilitation centers, you know, and basically doing the Lord's work, which is to rescue people, win over souls, you know, because I believe this drug thing, I've always told myself that the devil lives inside a drug. So when you take it, you're opening a doorway for him to enter, but you're not aware to say that very same drug, by you taking it, is you already placing him in you. You know,
for control.
So the devil is holding a lot of people captive through substance abuse, substance use. Basically, is holding them captive. So I've been rescued from that, and I've set out to come out to rescue the children of the Lord from the very same captivity, basically. You know, by them being held captive by Him. So that's the way I see it.
And it's doable if you could. You tried almost everything, you know. If you could come out, I believe that those who are still there, they can also come out. And I like the fact that you have a plan, you know. So we are in 2024. Maybe we should do another interview 2028. Is it 2028?
2028, that's
And
too
then
far.
is it too far? 2027. We want to track your progress.
Track
we want
my
to track.
progress. Okay.
Not. We know you're definitely not going back to drugs, but
Okay.
but yeah, we want to talk about the Brandon from the podcast to the Brandon 3 years back.
3 years back.
It would be interesting to know.
Interesting.
I'm a person of impact. What
yes.
impact has the podcast made, and you as an individual, your plans? How many people have you adopted into your program and all?
Okay.
It would be really interesting to actually have a post, podcast kind of discussion.
We can make it every year.
Ne?
Every year.
Yeah.
Like maybe this year and then next year, let it
next December, December 2025, we're having another one.
Not really, but let's put it like end of next year, the beginning of that year, somewhere in those months there. Or maybe even it's after 3 years. I think it's actually good.
Yes.
I like that idea a lot.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Wonderful also.
Yes. I know your dad is outside here, but he's going to obviously be watching. So I want you to look at this camera and you talk to him.
Okay.
You look at this camera, anything you want to say to him.
Okay. Well, I think what I'd like to say to him is, thank you for everything you've done for me. I really appreciate it. This is the Lord showing me that His work is at work in my life. You are everything that a son can ask for in a father. You are everything that a son can ask for in a parent. Your hard work and determination towards me and my recovery and all those has worked. And I just like to say that you are a blessing in my life and I appreciate it a lot. I cannot put words together to make you or to thank you, but what I can say is there is probably no way I can repay you back for what you've done for me, but what I can say is thank you very much. Yeah.
And let's talk to your sister as well. You told me about how your sister is such a loving person, the support she's giving you. I think she also deserves something from you.
Well, that's a message to my sister. Your brother is a very loving brother, and your brother is back. He's no longer the Brandon he used to be. He's going to be a big brother now towards you. And trust me, he'll always be there for you no matter what.
Wow. That is so touching.
Touching.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brandon, for your story. It's a very interesting thing is everybody has got their own different story. We had a podcast, with Joseph, who is a connection, the one who connected you to us. Your story is different from Joseph's story. And obviously somebody out there, the story is different. But what I like, the bottom line is there is a way of coming out of here. So I believe that someone watching is going to have ways in which they can really see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel they are in called drugs or drug abuse. So thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Really appreciate. Beautiful viewer at home, wherever you are watching us from. This is Brandon Lorenzo Williams with his unique story. This is a message of hope. This is a message to someone who is in drugs, someone whose child, whose brother, even a neighbor is really, in a state of substance abuse. There is hope. There is hope. These people need support from us. They need us to really hold their hands and really show them the love. Sometimes it can be tough love where they need to be shackled. Whatever mechanisms we can use, there is hope out there. So from me, Maggie Mahlaule, this is Masterminds of Influence, where we are bringing you any kind of influential stories. Until next time, God bless you.